All right, shalom, family. Hopefully everyone is doing wonderful tonight. I was going over this here with my father, dealing with the Table of Nations, and, it was humbling for him to see this and get this, because many times, people his age, they're so settled in their ways and they're not trying to change, the adversary has done so much damage that they're just tired, they're just beat down, and it is what it is, and it's sad. It's sad. And when you try to explain this to these people, they really don't care, man, until it really started affecting them, and then all of a sudden now, it doesn't matter. They want to quote John 3:16, or God loves everybody, whatever. But when we were talking about the mistreatment and all the wickedness, it's like we just complain too much. But it's out there in the universe. But anyway, I was going over the Table of Nations with my father, and I have a shortened version of the Table of Nations, mainly dealing with Ham. And the reason why I'm just dealing with Ham is because these people, they say that we were from the seed of Ham. And the sad thing about this is, not even sad thing, but the wonderful thing about this, the Most High, He left no wiggle room for these people. He dotted all the I's, He crossed all the T's, and even through the seed of Ham, it's like these people really have no wiggle room. And I'm going to show you why I say that. I'm going to hopefully run this down and make this make sense. So before I get into this, let's start off by going to the Table of Nations. Let's go to Genesis chapter 10 and start off with verse 1. Genesis chapter 10, verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood. So let's jump down to verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Right. And as you see, I have Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Ham's sons, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. And I have their modern names, Ethiopia for Cush, Egypt for Mizraim, Libya for Put, and Palestine for Canaan. Now, the reason why I say this, family, that the Most High covered all aspects, he dotted the I's, crossed the T's, because he knew the beginning from the end. He knew these people was going to always change things, move the goalposts. They were going to come up with new standards or what have you. I'm going to give you one of them. The so-called Jewish people say that they claim their lineage through the maternal side, right? So they claim their lineage through their mother, through the woman. Which we know that the Most High says opposite. Right? Claim their lineage through the father, through the man. Now scientifically, the woman has two X's. The man has an X and Y. If they have a son, right? If they have a boy, he will get a Y from the father and an X from the mother. If you have a girl, you get X from the father and an X from the mother. Now you probably say, okay, well, why is that important? Well, that means that they should have some DNA from melanated people somehow. It would be traced back to somewhere in Africa. But when these people when these so-called Ashkenazi Jews do their DNA, it always going back to Europe. Again, this is why they ban DNA testing. Unless they have a court order. And the same people who are really over a lot of these DNA companies. And they're on the west coast of Africa, getting all this DNA and actually asking our people, if they want, they'll tell them, go, hey, why don't you go get a DNA test done? You want my people to go get a DNA test done, but you ban it with your people. Again, very suspicious. Very suspicious. Like I said, moving the goalposts, changing the standard, changing the criteria. Again, it just started jumping out at me, right? Like I said, they claim their DNA through the mother, not the father. I tell you what, let's do this. Let's go to Numbers. Let's edify this. Let's go to Numbers chapter 1. Let's go to Numbers chapter 1. And let's start off at verse 1. And Yahweh spoke unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, on the first day of the second month, in the second year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel after their families, by the house of their fathers, which with the number of their names, every male by their poll. Let's jump down to 17. And Moshe and Aaron took these men which are expressed by their names, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigree after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of their names, from 20 years and older, 20 years old and upwards, by the polls. So again, like I said, the standard that the Most High gave, these people say no. They're going to set the standard according to how they determine. This is why it's very important that people go read the Bible and stop believing their pastors. Stop believing what the media say. Go read the book. This is why they're trying to ban the book. See, people, they try to spin a narrative. Well, because people saying that the Jews killed Jesus and they're trying to pass a law banning the Bible on that. It's more to it than that. Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. Because it's all this information is coming out. So they're trying to get rid of the evidence. They're trying to get rid of the evidence. That's why they're trying to pass all these laws about people calling them out. It's anti-Semitic. Trying to stop the evidence from coming out. Like I said, anyway, it's just weird because, like I said, these people always moving the goalposts. Again, when it comes down to my people, we talk about, all the atrocities and slavery and Jim Crow and so on and so forth. They'll say, well, nobody's living that was around 150 years ago. But yet, they're trying to give it's not real, right? They're trying to give them the land of Palestine. And they say, well, God gave that promised them that land 2,000 years ago. Yeah, but now these people are living. You promised my people 40 acres of land. We ain't got that. You promised my people equality. We ain't got that. I mean, again, you see how, again, it's always moving the goalposts, changing the criteria. It's been written down in the heavens, though. It's been written down in the heavens. Like I said, but I was showing my father all this stuff like that, and it just started to make sense. Started to line up. Even to the point where when you start looking at the land of Canaan, the land of Mizraim, or Egypt and Palestine, they're right next to each other, right? Until they dug the Suez Canal and they try to separate those land masses. Now these are brothers. They would look alike. They would look alike. Again, let's look at this. We know Moses being Israelite from Shem. He married an Ethiopian woman. We know Joseph was in Egypt. He was an Israelite, Shemite, right? He married an Egyptian woman. They said, well, Moses was mistaken for an Egyptian because he had on Egyptian clothing. Well, Joseph had on Egyptian clothes until he grew up in Egypt. But remember, Negroes, melanated people, right? So if these Ashkenazi Jews, if the Ashkenazi Jews were in the land of Egypt, and the Egyptian were dark skinned people looking like Negroes, they should have stuck out like a sore thumb. Same thing with Moses. If Moses looked like these Ashkenazi Jews and Ethiopian people look like Negroes, he should have stuck out like a sore thumb. You could take a Caucasian right now and put him, so-called Middle Eastern person, and you put him right there amongst these dark Africans, they're going to stick out like a sore thumb. Then they say, these people Middle Eastern, they have olive skin and all this other garbage. Which we know that these nations were full of, people that have been, the indigenous people have been pushed out through invasion and been conquered. Ethiopia just a little bit further down, and it was able to fight off a lot of those invasions and stuff like that. But again, historically, we know that these people melanated people. Tell you what, let's do this. Let's go to the Zane Van Pictorial Bible Dictionary and get the definition of Ham. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, one of 8 persons to live through the flood, he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites. And it has a reference, Genesis chapter 10, 6 through 20. We read that earlier. So even in the definition, it's telling us, giving us a reference of Genesis chapter 10, the table of nations. But it says that Ham is the progenitor of the dark races. So he's the father of the dark races, but not the Negroes. Not the Negroes. But we've been told all our lives that we were from the seed of Ham. So again, it began to make more sense. Why they was mistaken for Egyptians? Because if the Negroes are not Egyptians, are not of the seed of Ham, they will leave Japheth and Shem. And we know the Caucasians are supposed to be descended from, attributed to the Japhetic line. So it would make sense why Shemitic people would be confused with Hamitic people, because they would look alike. That's a whole other discussion dealing with Japhet, but it's another time. But again, it would make sense. That's why the Shemitic people went into Egypt, went into so-called Africa to hide. Because they would blend in. Makes sense? Why? Moses was mistaken for the Egyptian. Joseph was mistaken for the Egyptian. Paul was mistaken for the Egyptian. Remember, Paul was mistaken for the Egyptian too. We know he was from, he's an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. He wouldn't be wearing Egyptian clothing because he never, he wasn't raised up in the Egyptian culture. No, Moses and Paul did. I mean, Moses and Joseph did, but not Paul. So if we take the attire from them, they would blend in because they would be similar in skin color and pigment and phenotypes. Be close. Close. Makes sense. Like I said, again, it started to make sense. This is why they try to separate the land of Canaan from Egypt. They're right there next to each other. Now remember, these are brothers. They will look alike. We know these two are skinny people. Even though most of these nations been, again, conquered by Arabs. But for the most part, the indigenous people will be melanated people. In fact, the land of Palestine, if you go look up Afro-Palestinians, look like Negroes. There are people over there that look like Negroes. Again, it begins to make more sense. They could blend in with these people. The Shemitic people could blend in with these people. In fact, when the children of Israel was burying their father, they was mistaken for Egyptian. It makes a lot of sense. Tell you what, let's get another source. Black Image in the White Mind. The debate on Afro-American character and destiny. 1817-1914. The debate on Afro-American character and destiny. George M. Frederickson. Let's go to page 74. 74. Start off at page 74. In the 1840s, Martin collaborated with George R. Gildian, an Egyptologist who provided him with mummy heads and information about the racial significance of Egyptian tomb inscriptions. In Crania Egyptica, published in 1844, Morton pointed out that both cranial and archaeological evidence showed that the Egyptians were not Negroes, as abolitionists and colonizationists had maintained, and that in fact blacks had been relegated to the same servile position in ancient Egypt as in modern America. So there's another source that says that the Egyptians were not Negroes. There's another source saying that the Egyptians were not Negroes. We just read one book said that Ham was the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So these two books are saying the same thing, and we know that again, that the Zanzibar Bible Dictionary also pointed out to Genesis chapter 10, Table of Nations. But it also says something interesting. It said that blacks had been relegated to the same servile position in ancient Egypt as in modern America. Now, who was enslaved in ancient Egypt? The children of Shem. The children of Shem were enslaved in ancient Egypt. So blacks are the same people. It makes sense. It makes sense. See, again, this is why they want to hide this information. That's why they're trying to put the ban on the Bible. That's why they're trying to ban free speech. Because brothers and sisters are coming out putting this information out. And they can no longer hide behind a lie. Again, they've lied so much, now it's catching up with them. They're trying to move the goalposts, try to change the criteria and standard because they have an ulterior motive to hide this information, tampering with evidence. I keep saying there's a court case going on. A lot of people not getting it. You're choosing what side you're on. This is why these people, if you notice, these people modeled their judicial system off the premise, off the Bible's concepts. They took biblical principles and modeled their judicial system off it, their laws. So you mean to tell me you're going to plagiarize and copy from the Bible and now you're going to ban it? How stupid can you be? You have all the evidence. All the evidence is against you. And it's what I keep saying. These people keep playing. They don't know what they're playing with. The day of reckoning is around the corner. It's not funny anymore. You'll destroy so many lives. Again, like I said before, every time we talk about reparations, it's nobody's living from 150 years ago. But you're going to give $3.8 billion to people, right, who are not the people, and say that God promised them that land, again, 2,000 years ago. That's fine. Now we see that they're not the people. You ain't trying to fix that, though. And then the damage that you cause to a people, right, who are really the people, you tell them, it's not that serious. It's not that important. Are you going to move the goalposts again? Again, you've destroyed lives. You've through mass incarceration, through redlining, through gentrification, denying mortgages and business loans and so on and so forth. Blacks are 7 times more likely to be falsely accused for a crime that they commit. 60% of exonerees are so-called African Americans. Again, they like to move the goalposts. And this is modern time. We ain't talking about all the neighborhoods and the communities that you burned down and you flooded. But like to paint the narrative that we so lazy, or we don't create anything. This is being recorded. And again, for my people that keep saying the law is done away with, you're sealing your fate as well. There has to be a judgment for this. There has to be a judgment for these atrocities, for these crimes. Anyway, like I said, once I laid this out for my father, he got it, and hopefully those that are serious, with their walk and their studies, and you really want to know the truth, I know you see it. You can share this with your family, friends, and get the information where you can, again, continue to grow and be able to stand on who you are and stand on, your responsibility as an Israelite, coming back to the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. And for those that are still struggling, again, if you're really serious, like I said, the Most High, open up your heart, open up your eyes, if it's for you. If not, I don't know what to say. With that being said, as usual, peace, love, shalom.